My name is Robert Christopher Wayne Weathers. I live at 3102 Central Hill Road, Akron, Mississippi, 38841. I am under attack by what appears to be Scientology. From what I have observed, there is more space in the universe than humans can see. There are 11 dimensions. These dimensions reside within the particle itself. So inside of the particles in which the universe consists of lies another place. There are 11 dimensions in this place. It appears to be inward expansion, something of that effect. And there's another place or another particle also attached to this or in play here, which I'll try to discuss in a moment. There is another place in the universe, 11 dimensions. Humans have biology in these other dimensions. We have 11-dimensional biology. When we die, we utilize this biology to have an afterlife. We also utilize this extra dimensional biology to function properly while we are among the living, to process energy and to function properly. Scientology is the practice of utilizing this extra dimensional biology before we die. They remove it from themselves and they modify it using technology and techniques to turn it into an upper dimensional vehicle, a biology in which they can control. They can navigate the upper dimensions while they are still among the living. So this extra dimensional biology, it presents itself in layers. So there are 11 dimensions. At first, when this biology grows out of us, it creates another biology. And as it transcends or passes or crosses the next boundary to the next 3 dimensions, it creates a layer. And then it crosses the next boundary for the next 3 dimensions, and it creates another layer. So you wind up with a biology that's layers on top of layers on top of layer. It has multiple layers. These layers represent each 3 dimensions. The entire thing, from what I have observed, creates an Anunnaki, or that is our bloodline. That is the natural human form. We have a head covering that usually has horns. We have short arms and big hands. We are designed to fly through outer space. That's what I have observed. And when we die, we do something called turning around or raising. We actually grab these particles that we consist of, and we pull them into ourselves. Our consciousness turns around. It goes the other way towards the 11 dimensions, towards the center of the particles. And then we leave this biology. We leave behind only a shell. So you can consider the 3rd dimension as a shell. We are just a shell for something else. Scientology likes to remove this extra dimensional biology from themselves. And they like to cut it along the layers. So they like to remove the layers from themselves. And they wind up with 3 or 4 biologies in the upper dimensions in which they can modify and turn into upper dimensional biologies. These biologies can't function properly. They can't survive being cut this way, modified this way. So they have to use organs and tissues from other humans and other species in an attempt to make themselves whole and function properly. So what happens is you have organs. We have 11-dimensional organs, 11-dimensional brain tissue. So you have to leave an organ behind or take it or sever it and move it up. So you wind up with a bunch of biologies that are missing body parts or don't have complete body parts. So they utilize organs and tissues from other humans and other species, try to modify their biologies to make themselves complete and function properly. So they take organs and tissues from humans, reptiles, insects, worms, and they modify their biologies into there's a few types of alien forms. There are the greens, the grays, and the blues, which is different leaves, different modifications. That is the human form after it's been cut. It has an alien-like appearance, which aliens are just human. So you can imagine a gnarly looking human with weird features, and that is what it produces. So then they also use lizard body parts to make lizard people. They use insect body parts to make the insectoids or bug people. And then they use worm body parts to make the worm people. This is Scientology. They are creating aliens out of their extra dimensional biology. This is what I have observed. Now they use technology and techniques. Well they can't produce homeostasis. They can't produce their own biochemical electricity after these modifications. They have to leave something behind on the origin biology so it can still function and survive. So they use artificial stimulation. So they actually use electricity. They they stimulate themselves with electricity to replace the biochemical electricity that we would normally produce. And there's an entanglement property between our third dimension and our inner dimensions. If you remove part of our biology, no matter how far you take it from the origin biology, you are still in this biology. You still inhabit it, especially brain and central nervous system tissue. So what happens is if you remove a body part, you begin to remove it or move it away from the origin biology, space time in between you and the removed body part shrinks. So as it moves, space time warps and shrinks. So it keeps this biology in you. You can't take energy from within the particle. You can't take energy out of the particle. The particle would be destroyed. So space time has to conform to ensure that this doesn't happen. So from our perspective, it looks like it never leaves. But from another perspective, you get these bands and warps in space time that follow the removed biology, no matter how far away it goes. And you still inhabit that biology on some level, in some way. I think it might be partially. You still inhabit it in some way. They use this entanglement property for part of their technology and technique. There's a compound, or there are compounds on Earth that house removed body parts. They like to remove brain tissue, especially brain stems, our thalamus, and our eyes, and they store them at these compounds and interface them to a computer system. So they use little pods or boxes or a shelf system, and they put this removed biology in these pods or on this shelf, and they install it into a storage system, and then they use electrodes and wires and things to interface it to a computer system. From there, they can interact with each other in a digital landscape. They can communicate with each other. And this also acts as a command center so they can drive their upper dimensional biologies. They also utilize technology on their origin biology. So whatever is left on their origin biology, they can interface devices with their brain and central nervous system. Most of these devices used this way are recording devices. So they usually record sensory perception input. So they can record your sight, your hearing, your smell, your taste, your touch. And they can also stimulate these areas of the brain utilizing the same uh, the technology. So they like to install screens, and it interfaces with the visual cortex of our brain and our thalamus. It gives us a computer screen or like a TV screen that we can control on our own. Uh, we can utilize the same uh, neural tissue that we use for visual processes, visual thinking. We can stimulate this computer screen with it, and they can stimulate it for you. So uh, they can show you things on this computer screen as well. And the hearing devices act like phone services, allows you auditory communication. Then this technology artificially stimulates brain tissue. They can isolate memories and thought patterns, and they can stimulate this area of the brain. So they can make you experience a memory, or they can make you experience a thought pattern or put you into a thought pattern, like a state of mind. Yes, they're talking to me. And this technology artificially elevates neurochemistry. So they run energy through their neurons, and this stimulates neurochemical production. So it elevates neurochemicals like dopamine, norepinephrine, and serotonin. It has an extremely narcotic like effect upon the users. Plus, it gives our nerves an endorphin response. It makes our nervous system produce endorphins. And they can also stimulate our endocrine system and our digestion. They can elevate our hormone levels too, like testosterone and estrogen, and even oxytocin levels. Any chemical in the biology, they can stimulate its production. And then lastly, this technology allows them to create surrogates. So it gives them the ability to drive other organisms in the same manner that they drive their own biology. They can drive humans, animals, insects, and worms, microbes, even viruses in any dimension, even third dimensional organisms. Yes, Scientology is creating the aliens. The aliens are human. They remove their afterlife from themselves and they utilize it while they are still alive. Piece parts creatures. Yes, it's only a partial biology. They don't experience the afterlife in a natural way. I'm very so our dead people and our extra dimensions, they come with special abilities. We have very powerful eyesight in the afterlife. We can see in all dimensions, down to the molecular level. We can fly. We can go anywhere in the universe, anywhere in the world, up, down, through things. In a healthy environment with a healthy biology, we can even do magic. We can move particles around with our mind. It's like our nervous system creates some kind of electromagnetic field that allows us to move particles around. And we can interact with biologies on a very intimate level. So we can see biology's functioning. We can see our brain and central nervous system lining up. We can see particles flowing through our biology, fluids and blood flow. We can see our digestive system working. And we can modify biology. So we can see genetic material like DNA strands and modify DNA to produce certain features in an organism, especially the upper dimensions. So they help us grow and develop. I think naturally we produce lizard people and Anunnakis. They call them lizard people. Scientologists create the aliens, worm people. And these abilities were utilized in ancient times to help life grow and develop. Scientology has been abusing these powers to help people access the upper dimensions before their time. They are trying to control the population, manipulate people. They like to sabotage people and hurt people. They exploit people, and they're even murdering people, utilizing their upper dimensional abilities. They are abusing the powers of heaven. So Scientology is largely a criminal enterprise. They have infiltrated every institution in our society. Any any corporation or business or government institution that has any kind of power or influence that they desire, they have assimilated people within these fields to ensure that are loyal to the Scientologists. They force assimilation upon people. So if you have influence, power, or authority, or a job position in which they desire, they assimilate you. They force you to assimilate, and they try to take over your life and control your behavior. And they are forcing the government to abuse their authorities, and it's for bad reasons. Yes, they hurt people a lot, and it's getting worse. So they do things like steal biology. So they steal body parts from people to invade their privacy, to try to read their thoughts and to see through their eyes. They have compounds on Earth which house the public's biology. Companies like social media and marketing companies and the government is doing this. They like to invade our homes and businesses. They like to use their upper dimensions as lookouts so they can break and enter in our homes and businesses. They kidnap people, people uh, that they need their influence, or people that even that they are attracted to for personal reasons, attraction, like sexual attraction or attraction to people's psychology, which is my case. They traffic humans. They steal biology. They exploit people for power and money. It's for their influence over the world. They take surrogates from the population. It's usually people they are attracted to. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's at random. Sometimes these people need a certain job position or certain ability or certain influence, power, authority, and they will if they don't assimilate you and try to control your behavior, they straight up make you a surrogate. They will kill you and take use of your biology. People think you're still alive, but if you're not in it or you're barely in it, yes, sometimes they let these surrogates go. They drive sometimes and then let them go the rest of the time. But there's still a lot of brain damage involved. It's highly invasive. Kid or torture and rape and murder is rampant among the Scientology community. They are using biological weapons. They have produced some genetically engineered parasites, worms with teeth, big worms with teeth. There are several species in use at the moment on a lot of people, including me and my family. They are using these parasites as weapons to hurt people. And they like to destroy our environments. So first off, they like to contaminate food and water supplies. And then the same entanglement property that applies to our biology also applies to the world around us. So our homes and the land, the ground, even our water supplies and everything else, it has an entanglement property. It has extra dimensions. So you can remove these particles from our environment and take them to a remote location and interact with this environment from a remote location in some level, in some way. Because space-time shrinks in between the origin location and the particles that have been removed. And we are seeing terrorist activity among these people. So they're conditioning to mess with body parts, to remove body parts for a living, and then steal biology and modify biology. They cut them to pieces and things inside of us. It's a very disturbing and hostile field of study, body hacking and transplant specialists. That's what Scientology is. They're conditioned to do this. So they do this for a living. And plus, it's their hobby. On top of that, this is a very criminal enterprise. And then they are artificially stimulating their brain tissue. And it's elevating neurochemistry. So now they are whacked out of their heads. It is causing addictive tendencies. So they are becoming addicted to the field of Scientology. Elevated dopamine and norepinephrine, plus artificial stimulation that keeps our brain going constantly wide open. That is not a natural stimulation of the brain. Our brains are supposed to be quiet most of the time until we get engaged with our environment, and then we start to produce biochemical electricity and neurochemicals, which helps us interact with our environment. And that's what it's supposed to be used for. Yes, and then you stop interacting and it goes away. Our biological function is attached to our interaction with our environment. It's not supposed to be turned on wide open all the time. Then you will find something to do. It will force you to move. It will force you to get interactive with the environment when there's no reason to be. So now they're doing Scientology wide open among all the people in the world. Plus, we're seeing religious zealots and an occult behavior within the Scientology community, which is leading to some violent and terroristic uh, behaviors. So these people are responsible for the Christian religion. Ancient humans knew about the afterlife. They knew we were Anunnakis and lizard people. And then something happened. People started hearing voices. Well, that's also Scientology. I mean, somehow they seen the afterlife. They started seeing these upper dimensional organisms. But then something happened and people started hearing voices and they started talking about this martyrdom. And they started showing them big humans in the sky. And it was the God of wrath, a God that casts floods and plagues upon mankind, is always pissed off about humans and forbids us from learning the secrets of the universe and practices sending people to hell and torture and martyrdom and an apocalypse. I think ancient humans were observing the Scientology community. That's what I have observed. So another aspect to take into consideration is time. So our third dimension see time as a linear event. We see the days passing one after another after another. We see seconds, minutes, and hours. Time is actually a simultaneous event. The past, the present, and the future happen at the same time. There are no days, there are no seconds, there are no minutes. It's all one big object, one big thing. It's an object from my perspective. It's all happening at the same time. So this started for me 13 years ago. Yes, for some perspective in the universe, for some observation, it's like a superposition or something. This simultaneous time is true. And I guess it varies from there the closer you get to the third dimension. It varies. So the closer you get, they might see yesterday and today at the same time. And the further away you get and the bigger you get, they might see years at the same time. But from what I have observed, something is happening and they are interacting with a large span of time from our perspective. So yes, they named me Christopher. So they could call this torture and rape and murder and intellectual property theft a Christian ordeal and sell it to the and Christian society and sell it to the rest of the world. It's made up. Every once in a while, people come forward and they try to save the planet, and it's happening more and more and more and more. And people are going to get good at it. Yes, environmentalism, and we want people to be healthy and happy and have universal health care. Everyone to have health care and everyone to have a house. We want everyone to have good education. These are environmental issues. Yes, I'll explain that. I guess I'll explain it now. So, uh, I used to be a political activist. I participated in politics on social media. There was a large group of people that did this. So we studied elected officials, lawmaking and policy, and environmental issues, and we participated in politics. We tried to persuade elections, lawmaking, and policy. And I'm also an author, so I wrote a lot. I inspired a lot of people. I helped a lot of people write their own literature, come up with achieve ideas, or come up with their own things. And then I got assimilated. They put me into a hive mind. They tried to control me, take over my life, tell me what to do, how to do my job, when I could go to the bathroom. And I did not accept this advance. So at first I told them to get away from me, stop doing that. And then more people came and they were hostile and mean. They started threatening my life and my liberty. And they harassed me constantly. Well, I started yelling at them back. And then the communication dialed down. But then it became apparent that the world was invading my privacy. That these media companies, radio companies, marketing companies, social media, tech companies, big business, and even the government could see into my environment. And I felt violently ill. So the communication was hostile day after day, especially radio companies and television, the marketing companies. They would portray me information that was hostile, that threatened my life and my liberty. And then every once in a while, I start hearing voices again, speaking directly to me. But then they started stealing my intellectual property, the things I was working on and studying. They would take it for their own and use it for their own work. And the people around me started acting strange. So my family, my friends, my coworkers, my neighbors, my neighborhood, my community, they are all acting strange. Yes, everyone wanted to hang out after that, but I stayed work most of the time. So, but people would ask me for rides or something like that, and we'd get going down the road, bam, something would run out in front of us and it totaled my car. That happened on several occasions. getting victim shamed. Yes, this is Scientology. Yes, I became violently ill. I could feel things stuck inside of my head. I could feel bad, weird sensations. My brain lost function, and my biology didn't function well anymore. And I could feel foreign objects shoved inside of my ear, my face, my head, my neck, and my whole head swelled up, and my eye drooped. I had a lazy eye a long time. It looked like my eye was like down to here. It sucks. It's torture. I started going to the hospital. I had a lot of scans done to get them, try to get whatever it was removed, but they couldn't see anything. So apparently, it was an inverse object or an extra dimensional object. And I have believed that there are third dimensional objects out of me, and that the hospitals are lying. I had the strangest episodes at the hospitals, like people offering me sex and things like that, or people acting strange. And these surrogates and the people in my environment, they will say things under their breath or in passing as they're walking away. It's hostile and mean. Just because these people can see the future. So then I wrote, uh, I'm part Native American. The more literature I wrote, the more they stole. I wrote Crazy Bird Comics. I wrote the Environment Creation Agency. I wrote Divine Currency or Buffalo Dollars. I wrote Alien Bob, Bug Bob, and several others. And then one day I started seeing things. So they installed a screen. So I started seeing things in my mind and then hearing voices inside of my head a lot. So I started to see and hear these people. And then they modified my eyeballs. So I started to actually see these organisms in my environment. These aliens are everywhere. There are insectoids and surrogates and worms and humans and aliens everywhere on Earth, especially my environment. Yes, they are here in my environment at the very moment. We can't see them, but they are here. They are humans on Earth driving these extra dimensional organisms. Scientology. It is Scientology. They are creating the aliens. I've never seen a dead person on Earth. Maybe once. And I think they went and got them and brought them here just so I could see them. They go to outer space when they die. See, when we die, we turn around. Our consciousness turns around and faces the opposite direction as when we face while we are among the living. They are not here anymore. They are somewhere else. And they go away from Earth. They fly into outer space, never to return. That's what I have experienced. Yes, all these people are among the living. The same people that assimilated me, they're communicating with me. So then this turned into biological theft. So they got to observe me writing my intellectual property and creating my ideas and doing my job, my career. So I'm a tool maker. I create things for a living. I make things. It's out of nothing. I do CAD CAM. I draw a lot and write. And they got to observe me doing this and writing my intellectual property. And they seen great value in it. They became attracted to it. They sold seats to other Scientologists to let them invade my mind space, perceive my thought patterns. Yes, for personal and monetary gain. They started stealing my intellectual property. Then it turned into biological theft. So they wanted the brain tissue or the ability to do this for themselves. Scientologists are all about transplants. If they desire your biology, they will take it from you. So they started to take brain tissue. And at first they used it for transplant purposes. So they literally removed my brain tissue and used it as a transplant for their own biologies. And then they started using it for surrogate making. And they took more and more and more. And then they started using it for torture devices. And then it became apparent that I had parasites, big worms with teeth. I was full of them. And they started torturing me badly. Every day, torture and harassment. It was horrible. It still is horrible. So they were abusing their heavenly abilities, the ability to see a biology functioning. And they would assault my brain and nervous system and my organs because they are jealous and petty and evil and violent people. They like to torture people. Yes, I yelled at them a lot because they were killing me. I had to make this video because they started torturing me again a while ago. They want to destroy my brain tissue. So they want to destroy the brain that actually created all this intellectual property and produced all this value on earth. Yes, I am a valuable person. I have a lot of influence in the world. I can create things and ideas that are very valuable. They say money, but it's all about creating the perfect environment for life on earth, optimal existence. It's part of my DNA, my genetics. It compels me to do this. Native Americans were natural environmentalists. We understand and we see how the environment is affecting the life found within that environment. And we modify this environment to ensure that the life within that environment is healthy and achieves optimal existence. Yes, we were stewards of nature. We developed ecosystems on Earth. All of our food sources and all of our natural and agricultural uh, foods come from Native Americans or primitive humans. We actually lived outside among the plants and animals and helped life grow and develop. We turned grass into corn, little sour berries into big tomatoes, and the list goes on and on and on. That's what it is. It's just an attempt to save the world. Yes, it is very valuable. Yes, they want my biology. They want to try to do this for themselves. And then on top of this, they're trying to send me to hell. So they're trying to set my biology up in some way in which it suffers after death. If they can do this, they can electrocute people or pour chemicals on them or block them out of space time, put them down a hole, make them suffer greatly after death. And because of this entanglement property, they can take our biology, take it somewhere and torture it and leave it there, and we have to experience that after we die. Yes, if it's artificially stimulated. Yes, I am a descendant of the Lakota people. I'm part Native American. My literature is Native American. Some of it is. Well, I guess all of it is. I write a lot about a lot of different things. I did not wish to be cyborg. I come up with some cute little story in which tried to make it a good thing or okay thing, but now I denounce it. I do not think it is a good idea for any human or any organism to stick a foreign object inside of their biology. You don't want it unless it is a very necessary life-saving technology, which I can't see understand how it shouldn't be done. They suck to stick a foreign object inside of our brain. It sucks. It is highly invasive. Yes, it happened, but it wasn't a good thing. It's not really cyborg, it's more of a phone service, recording devices, which the people that can see the future didn't let it happen until just recently. Yes, these are recent events. First they got to observe my environment, preservation devices. It was recording devices for a long time. Yes, the gods wouldn't allow it to happen until after I wrote the ECA. I guess because it was so valuable. I'm getting victim shamed. Yes, they went back in time and drove my father through the hospital as I was being born, and he gave me the name Christopher. And there was conflict. My mother didn't want it. So I wound up with four names. My name is supposed to be Robert Wayne Weathers. Now my name is Robert Christopher Wayne Weathers, just so they could come back to this very moment, call this thing a Christian martyrdom, and sell this story to the public and say, look, it's justified. It's a religion. It's my religion. I can torture someone and get away with it because it's Christianity. Well, this is America. You can't force your religion upon me. And there is no one above the law in this country. I have rights. There is separation of church and state. No one can play God on the human race. It is against the law. I am extremely sick. I have been tortured near death, and they are using life support systems to keep me alive. Then they plan on making me a surrogate. Yes, my intellectual property is extremely valuable. So I wrote Crazy Bird Comics. It's about a Native American warrior that saves the planet. First, was going to make him a cyborg. At first, he wasn't. First, he was just a scholar, a political activist, or once I wanted to be a politician for a long time in my life. These people destroyed my life and my career, which I could still work if they went away with a little bit of help. But last day I worked, I was ran outside and had to call the FBI because they were doing severe brain damage. They didn't want me to have a vehicle or any kind of money income, so they could keep me right here on Center Hill, torturing me to death. And if I leave, it gets violent. They hurt me badly. They don't want me to run. They don't want me to go nowhere. They want me to sit right here and die, be tortured to death. They're trying to come up with some false narrative which says this is my fault. I somehow brought this upon myself. It's a lie. They're trying to justify uh, illegal experimentation, reading my thoughts my entire life, so they can have this intellectual property, this big movement. And I never desired bringing heaven to earth. I never wanted to talk about heaven. All of my intellectual property is of earth. Yes, I can talk about heaven. I can bring heaven to earth. In the ECA, if it ever is implemented, I hope it does entail all of our environments with the proper evidence. All I know is I'm seeing things and hearing things, and I've experienced extra dimensions. Yes, I've had out of body experiences. I have one every night. I used to be ordained in the human's fashion, which they cut part of your biology off and stick an electrode up his ass and electrocute it, and you wake up in outer space. Yes, they give it biochemical electricity, but they did it for wrong reasons. They are petty and jealous, and they woke me up just to hurt me. It was hell. They made me experience these little hell scenarios. At first, it was literally hell. They were torturing my biology. They would ordain me, wake me up, and then they would torture me, make me experience great suffering. And then it turned into these little hell scenarios where you're and it's not really a dream. You're actually in the upper dimensions. I don't dream anymore. I don't sleep anymore. I go to heaven every night. It's always buried alive or claustrophobia or running away from something. It's not okay. It sucks. Yes, they do sexual relations in the hive. They can stimulate their sexual organs and have a sexual experience from a remote location. They want me to have that. I got to experience it a few times, and then I don't really like it. I'm a nervous person, anyways. I have severe stress disorder, so it takes me a while to get comfortable with a person, to even think about having a sexual relation. Yes, they mutilated my genitals. They mutilated every biology, every body part, and now they're trying to destroy my brain tissue. They don't want me to have any kind of pleasure at all. So they're stimulating my brain tissue, or it appears this way, and it's producing an endorphin response. And they call it a flow state or some kind of pleasure. They don't want me to have it. If they would stop stimulating me, it wouldn't even exist. I barely have any nervous system left. We don't experience our third dimensional particles very much. Most of the human experience comes from our inner dimensions. You are feeling your inner dimensions throughout your entire life. You don't even know it. I know because mine has been ripped to pieces. So I feel like I'm being electrocuted at the moment. It sucks. They're going to say all kinds of bad things about me, try to defame me, say this is my fault somehow or I've done something wrong. And it's all lies. Either that or it's a setup or staged event. And they're trying to modify or manufacture evidence, claim something happened, which nothing happened. If it happened, I didn't do it. And I don't even understand what was happening. Now they're trying to use my thought patterns against me. They try to provoke a self defense thought pattern all the time. Like they show me government agents and cops uh, assaulting me and my family to death and talking horrible, threatening my life and my liberty, and telling me they're going to set me up. Yes, I throw things at them, try to shock them with a lightning bolt. In my mind, it's like there's something you can control. So I'm going to let this video play a little bit longer because it alters their behavior. I wouldn't even make these videos if me and my family's life wasn't in danger. When I get assaulted or they start the assault to assault me, I make videos and it alters their behavior. That's the only reason. I'm not trying to blow the whistle on government secrets or trying to make myself famous or anything like that. I don't care. And I would keep secrets. But me and my family's life is in danger and it's very bad. So I have to make these videos. They're the ones that are whistleblowing. I am a civilian. I never had to know any of this information. Yes, most of these people are civilians too. So there is something that I had to mention. So people are going to seek justice after this is done. They're going to want this God's authority, or whoever this person is. They're going to want him brought to justice. They're going to use my biology for lookalikes, so it's going to look like them. They can do this. Preservision has capabilities to produce lookalikes, so they might make my biology or someone else's biology look like them. So they take out me or somebody else, claim that it's them, and they're going to run or hide or something. I do not preach sending anybody to hell. Do not torture people. Just turn them off. We have a right to die. We have a right to die. If you are dead, you have a right to cease to exist. Go to sleep. It is illegal to torture people. They can artificially stimulate you and make you experience an afterlife, even if your body can't live on its own, can't function on its own. Don't torture people. Just turn them off. They're going to create some false narrative or try to get me to act out, but I'm not doing anything wrong. I scream at them a lot. They're going to say, oh, well, they screamed at us and blew our brains out because they were breaking into my home and killing us. Yes, I screamed at the aliens. They're going to say, oh, well, it hurt us. They staged an event like that. This is my house. I scream, get out or leave. Get off my property. I am extremely sick. I'm severely ill, and I am very sick. They're torturing me at this very moment. I do not consent to you messing with my biology in any way. Get away from me. They are petty and jealous, so they're not even. If they had to leave, they would hurt me in some way. They would kill me. They are jealous and petty like that. Artificial stimulation. They're elevating neurochemicals. Plus, they are conditioned to do body parts and to commit criminal activity, crimes against humanity. It has led to their exploitation and forced assimilation. It's all created this psychological conditioning that is very violent and harmful to people. They are torturous. Dr. Kevorkians. Plus, they are petty and jealous.